A waitress walked into a luxury gala to earn $800. Before the night ended, she had a private doctor, armed men outside her house, and a mafia boss telling her, "You're a target now." This wasn't a fantasy. It was worse, because the man protecting her was the same man who had just made her life deadly.
Eels. You and I need to break this crazy scene down right now. Picture the ultimate power shift. A cold-blooded mafia boss literally on his knees for a regular servant. Eels. The richest people in Washington completely froze when Adrian dropped 6 impossible words. Right under the chandelier is our girl, Laya Hart, shaking in fake designer heels. She just wanted to lay low and survive the night, but instead, heels. She accidentally becomes the ultimate obsession of a total menace. To see how we got here, let's rewind. Laya is having a full-blown panic attack against the cold wall of a sketchy elevator. Heels. 6 floors below the billionaires, reality hits her like a truck. She tries counting backward from 10 to calm down, a trick she picked up hanging around 10, 9, 8. The elevator jolts. 7. She feels sick. Out of nowhere, a harsh voice asks if it is her first time working the Carrington. Leia looks over. This tough veteran server named Margaret is watching her from the corner, looking like she has seen some serious stuff. Leia just asks if it is that obvious. Heels. Margaret spots her freaking out and gives her this deadpan smile. She tells Leia to keep her eyes glued to the floor. Do not talk. If these rich creeps grab her, just fake a smile and bail. Leia nods and looks her up and down. She tells Leia she is on champagne duty, and her only job tonight is to be invisible. If she stops moving, these people will literally eat her alive. Servants are just ghosts here, totally disposable. Feels. The doors ping open into blinding gold light. Honestly, the sheer intimidation of this mega-rich ballroom almost makes Leia forget her massive trauma. Do not forget her backstory. She found her mom passed out on the floor back in August. Then came the sirens, the whispering doctors, and the nightmare diagnosis of stage 3 cancer. The hospital had a treatment plan ready to go, but in this world, staying alive is a VIP luxury she just cannot afford. Feels. Keeping her mom breathing meant buying crazy expensive meds, and the insurance company basically laughed in their faces. Leia was a top-tier college senior, but she dropped out on the spot. She didn't even cry. She just watched her whole future vanish in some boring campus office. Now she is pulling 3 terrible jobs, running on 0 sleep, and walking into this high-stakes gala. This sketchy catering shift is literally the only thing keeping her mom alive tonight. Feels. She is getting $800 in pure cash. Someone else got hurt, Margaret did her a solid, and now Leia can afford exactly one more life-saving injection. It is literally life or death. Leia steps into the main room, and it is just stupidly rich. Crystal chandeliers everywhere. But the guests? They walk around looking like total apex predators ready to ruin lives for fun. Feels. Check out the vibe in this room, guys. It smells like pure money, designer perfume, and absolute arrogance. Leia grabs a massive tray of glasses, forces her hands to stop shaking, and walks right into the Shark Tank. In this twisted food chain, regular workers are not even human. These billionaires just see a walking uniform. A literal politician could push her over just to grab a drink, treating her like a cheap piece of furniture. Feels. Stick with me here because things are about to go crazy. Leia completely zones out just to handle the stress. She hands out drinks to snobby women who don't even look at her. Some drunk guy bumps into her, and she instantly pastes on that fake customer service smile to survive. But halfway across the floor, the whole vibe just drops. It is not even a noise. The room pressure just suddenly plunges in a way that will give her nightmares forever. Feels. People are still talking, but the air gets super heavy, like right before a tornado hits. Leia follows everyone's eyes straight to the front doors. Adrian Moretti just walked in. A boss this dangerous does not even need an intro. His aura alone makes all these billionaires shut their mouths instantly. He is huge, rocking dark hair, and the absolute cold-blooded look of a guy who runs the underworld. Feels. His crazy expensive suit cannot even hide how built and dangerous he is. But her gut is screaming at her to bolt. All these arrogant rich folks are suddenly terrified, looking at the floor like scared prey. He has 2 massive bodyguards giving off total hitman energy. Some lady nearby actually gasps. Leia ducks her head, trying to blend into the wallpaper. Her whole body is throwing red flags. This dude ruins lives for fun, and looking at him is a guaranteed death wish. Feels. Her survival instincts kick in, so she dips into the loud, crazy kitchen just to catch a breath. She is shaking against a metal counter when her phone buzzes. It is a text from the hospital nurse. Her mom flatlined at 6:42 p.m. They brought her back, but Laya needs to call right now. She goes completely pale. Her hands are shaking so badly she can barely dial. But it hits voicemail. She calls back. Nothing. Just dead silence. Then someone screams her name. Feels. Margaret's voice slices right through the kitchen noise, telling her to get back to work. Slayar's begging, crying about her mom's heart stopping. For one tiny second, Margaret actually looks heartbroken. But then the veteran walls go right back up. Heals. She quietly tells Laya she has to finish this shift. Just give her 20 minutes and she will cover her. They are massively short-staffed with hundreds of guests. Laya just nods. She chokes down a massive sob, grabs more champagne, feels, and walks straight back into that terrifying ballroom. Feels. She is literally crying now. A tear drops, and she fast wipes it away. Her tray is shaking, and the fancy glasses are rattling like crazy. Her vision is completely blurry, and she is staring at her shoes so she does not collapse. Now, this is where you and I really need to pay attention, because her whole life changes right here. She looks up, and who is blocking her? Adrian Moretti. He is standing totally alone. His guards actually backed off, making this huge empty circle, and he is staring straight at her. Feels. Her first thought is to just look away, exactly like Margaret warned her. Her second thought, everything and sprint, but she remembers the medical debt, so she plays the good servant. Look at how badly her hands are shaking. She whispers and asks if he wants champagne. She gulps and tries again. Adrian's eyes are completely dead. He checks out her face, looks at the drink, and then locks onto her eyes. He completely ignores the glass. He just states that she has been crying. Zero hesitation. Feels. He drops that line with absolute zero emotion. Laya denies it, saying she is totally fine. He immediately shoots back that she is absolutely not fine. Laya is hardcore panicking now. Her brain is screaming at her to blend into the background. Feels. She whispers an apology and tries to just walk past him. The boss does not budge. He does not even touch her, but his insane mobster aura literally freezes her in place. The glasses are shaking everywhere. He asks who she is. Feels. She just stammers that she does not want trouble. Feels. He tells her he is asking because he expects an answer. His voice is super quiet, dropping words like heavy artillery. She is way too tired to fake a name, so she just breathes out that she is Leia Hart. Then his insane underworld instincts just kick in. He tells her he knows something terrible just happened to her. Look closely at how she reacts here. The flatline, the voicemail, the crazy hospital bills. She is 1 second away from snapping. Feels. So what do you and I take away from this? Laya is completely drowning right now. She chokes out that it is her mom, and her voice totally breaks. And does not flinch at all. He just asks where she is. Laya tries to escape, but he drops her name like a literal weapon and stops her cold. He demands to know where her mom is. She finally admits she is in Alexandria and not answering. Laya is absolutely breaking down in front of a mob boss. Feels. Watch how this guy operates. He pulls out his phone looking like an absolute hitman. He gets his guy Tommy on the line and takes total command. He orders him to track a medical line that went silent 20 minutes ago under the name Hart. He is just staring at Laya, analyzing his new obsession. She finally gives him mom's name and location. He immediately orders the city's top doctor there in 15 minutes, plus a private ambulance, and wants a live feed from the ground team. Pure boss moves. Feels. He hangs up after 20 seconds of insane alpha energy. Leia is stunned. She tells him she doesn't know him and cannot accept this. He straight up tells her she is not accepting anything. He orders her to get her coat because they are going right now. Feels. Leia literally blacks out from the stress. She does not even remember walking across the room. She just remembers hitting the kitchen, grabbing her keys. Margaret looks ready to scream at her, but immediately shuts up. Why? Feels. Because the Mafia boss is standing right behind her. Feels. Complete sensory overload. Adrian looks like a straight-up movie villain under those bright kitchen lights. Check out the manager's face, guys. She goes from totally shocked to pure survival mode instantly. She greets him. He nods and says her name, Feels, logging her identity for later. He casually announces Laya is leaving with him. He is paying her wage, and it is a personal favor. Margaret just agrees. He holds out his arm without even touching Laya. Feels. He just uses this insane magnetic intimidation to pull his new target away from everything she knows. Heels. He drags her down a hidden hallway into the freezing November night. The air reeks of rain and exhaust. A black car is waiting, driver door already popped. Adrian shoves her inside. The heavy doors slam shut, instantly killing all sound. "How is this even happening?" she whispers, totally losing her mind. But Adrian ignores her completely. He is back on the phone, voice razor sharp. "Talk to me." A terrifying silence fills the car. Heels. How long was she out? What did they give her? No. Forget hospital rules. Get Dr. Rice on the line in 4 minutes or else. He hangs up. Streetlights flash across his predatory face, his eyes glowing like a dangerous animal. The dude is running on pure Mafia survival mode. "Your mother is breathing," he says softly. "Pulse is weak." The nurse totally panicked during an allergic reaction. That is all we know right now. Heels. A doctor is 11 minutes out. Look at Laya, guys. Her hands are shaking out of control. "I do not get it," she cries out. "Why are you doing this?" He locks eyes with her, masking his own dark past. "Neither do I," he admits. The car blasts down the highway. The driver is a literal robot. Adrian stays dead silent while Laya watches the city lights blur, completely struggling to breathe. Heels. "What does she have?" he asks. She swallows her pride. "Stage 3 lymphoma. The good treatment got denied by insurance, so they switched to the cheap stuff." "How much was the good drug?" $4,000 a pop. "The cheap one?" $800. "That is why you were waitressing tonight." "Yes." Adrian stares out the window. His jaw clenches hard. He is an absolute boss, a guy who controls everything, totally furious over a broken system he cannot instantly fix. Feels. "Okay," he whispers.
Okay, let us pause right here, guys. Her stress completely vanishes.
This is the exact moment she trauma bonded, trusting her life to a mobster. Her tiny house. Empty chair screaming daddy issues.
Under the porch light, a sketchy white van is parked.
2 tactical hitmen in pure black gear are locking down the freezing street. One checks a radio. Total Mafia overkill. Heels. "Those are my guys," Adrian says. "Do not freak out." "Okay," she exhales, totally submitting to his vibe. The driver opens her door and the freezing wind almost knocks her over. Adrian instantly plays the hero. He claims his territory without even touching her. She forces her shaking legs across the dead lawn and opens the door. Inside is terrifying. Her mom is pale, hooked to an IV, while a creepy doctor works with serial killer precision. Heels. A mob lackey sits nearby, guarding mystery chemicals. Eleanor opens her eyes, finding her daughter. "Oh, honey," she whispers, barely awake. "I am so sorry." Laya completely loses it. Her legs give out. She crawls across the floor, burying her face into her mom and letting out a gut-wrenching scream. It is pure heartbreak. Eleanor weakly pets her hair. "I am okay, baby," she whispers. The doctor backs off, while Adrian guards the door like an absolute statue. Heels. He watches them, hiding his true thoughts. The boss has not been this obsessed with a girl in 10 years. Maybe never. He steps out onto the dark porch to cool off. Inside, Dr. Rice plays nice, slowing down so Leia drops her guard. He sits as Eleanor passes out again, then drops the bomb. "Your mother had a massive immune reaction to the cheap drug." Heels. "It was a total fluke." But the nurse panicked and bailed. Honestly, she ditched protocol to smoke outside, and Mr. Moretti caught her. "Oh my God," Leia chokes, realizing the screw-up. "I do not do customer service, Miss Hart, but definitely report that agency." He slides a sleek business card across the table. "That is my personal line. If anything drops in the next 72 hours, call me." Heels. "Do not call 911. Call me. I will be here in under an hour." "Dr. Rice, I cannot pay for this," she begs, totally broke and terrified. "Miss Hart," he taps the card, planning a massive psychological hook. "Just call me if she crashes. My job here is done." He packs his gear and leaves. She will make it through the night. Left alone, Leia stares at a coffee mug, shell-shocked. Outside, Adrian is still holding the line. Heels. The guy is freezing, but literally does not care. He is scanning the dark street, lit by creepy blue holiday lights. Leia steps outside, hugging herself. "Dr. Rice is top tier," Adrian says, locking eyes with her. He said she makes it through tonight. "Good, Mr. Moretti." Adrian. Just say Adrian. Even those words drain her. "I do not know what to say." "Do not talk," he orders. "You are completely wrecked tonight. Go back inside. I will stay here unless I am scaring you." Feels. "Both choices are fine. Why are you doing this?" He finally turns, and you can see how dead tired the man is. "Check this out, guys. He is finally dropping a 10-year Mafia shield." "I told you my theory," he mutters. "I really do not have a reason." "That makes 0 sense." "It's not. They just stand there freezing." Her breath turns to smoke. The guy barely even breathes. Then he drops a bomb. Can I tell you a secret? Okay?
I only came tonight because I had to.
Heels. Let us break this down right now. His mission was basic. Stand guard, flex some muscle, deny the drugs, and bounce. Pure mafia business. Hands shaking and crying her eyes out. Boom, his whole system crashes. He lets out a massive sigh. He literally watches stuff her every single day and ignores it. So why her? The math is not mathing. Maybe you should have kept walking, she says. He actually smiles. A literal hitman, completely destroyed by one girl crying. Heels. This visual is wild. The boss actually looks so soft for a second, and it freaks Leia out. Maybe I should have, he whispers. She backs into the house, slumps on the floor, and clings to her mom until her breathing levels out. When her mom finally sleeps, Leia stands up, bones aching. She peeks outside. The black car is still there. Mob guards are locked in. The doctor is gone. Blue lights glowing. Out in the cold, Adrian leans on the car, plugging straight back into his mafia empire. Heels. Through the glass, Leia sees him totally tense up. He takes a call, barks something back, and angrily runs a hand through his hair. He freezes. Then he stares straight at her window. The boss always knows when he is being watched. Panicking, she yanks the curtain shut, clutching the doctor's card. Heels. Down the hall, her mom is knocked out. It is almost midnight. You and I know this trope. Her normal life is officially over. Hours ago, she was serving coffee. Now the mafia controls her street. A ruthless boss is burning massive favors just to protect a random waitress. Leia completely breaks down. Heels. Mom, what did I do? She cries. Eleanor is only alive because a literal mobster stepped in. Desperate for comfort, Leia grabs a sweater and steps back into the cold. She is asleep, Leia says. Good, Adrian replies, his voice totally iced over. I fired the agency nurse. My private nurse is coming. Heels. My nurse is coming, he repeats. Leia is stunned. Any normal person would ask about the mafia bill, but that trauma bond is real. Deep down, she wants the bad boy to stay. Why did you grab your hair, she asks. You were so gentle earlier. Now you look completely dead. Heels. Who was on the phone? She pushes. He lets the silence drag out for maximum tension. My uncle. The head of our family business. He found out I was guarding a waitress. What did you say? She asks. Adrian looks up at the sky. Watch this cliffhanger, guys. He said I just painted a massive target on your back. His eyes go cold. And he is right. Heels. Guys, this is textbook isolation right here. He's quietly cutting off at every single exit. Leia's heart is hammering as she pulls her sweater tight. A target for who? She asks. He fires back. People who just realize that, for once in my life, I actually care about somebody. She totally feels the cage snapping shut. She nods. I didn't plan this. He lies, throwing on a mask of pure vulnerability. Don't think I wanted to walk away holding your entire life in my hands. Heels. I hold your fate and I can't let go, he says. Then let go, she whispers, totally breaking down. Go home. They already know about you, he counters. We'll move, she begs him. Leia. He drops his voice to this devastatingly soft whisper. Heels. Dropping the ultimate emotional anchor. You can't outrun my monsters without me. Then what, she cries. You let me handle it. She just completely shatters, surrendering to the whole dynamic. He just stands there watching her cry. Heels, keeping his distance to lock in his power. Heels. He watches her with perfectly faked pity. Go inside, he says softly. My guys own this street now. Nothing gets close. Adrian. Tomorrow I come back in the daylight, he says, planting the seed. I'll sit at your table. I will explain exactly how ugly my world gets and the deadly cost of being near me. And then, Leia, I'll ask if you want to be part of this tragedy. Heels. I'll accept whatever you decide, he promises, giving her the ultimate illusion of choice. Frozen in fear, she just nods. He gives this slow, dramatic bow, gets in his car, and vanishes into the dark Virginia night. Left freezing on the porch, the empty street, completely mentally wrecked. At 12:23 a.m., Catalina arrives. This tough, stone-faced woman is lugging heavy trauma kits, which is just a brutal reminder of the mob's endless cash and power. Heels. Catalina checks her mom's pulse with cold, military-level focus. Stepping into this weird, dark motherly role, she forces Leia to eat something. Get some sleep, the nurse orders, taking over the armchair. Tomorrow's going to cost you. I can't. Heels. Leia whispers. If trouble comes, I'll wake you, Catalina promises. Leia stumbles into her room. Completely drowning in trauma and exhaustion, she face plants onto her bed, still wearing her gross catering uniform and shoes. Heels. She just stares at the ceiling, totally numb. Heels. Moonlight hits the doctor's card. Leia fixates on the soft, broken mask her captor wore. His promises are spinning in her head, that toxic trauma bond really sinking in. She pictures a faceless mafia boss hunting a normal waitress. She never really sleeps, but falls into this twisted, romanticized comfort, finding safety in the exact monster who trapped her. Outside, the black sedan waits. Two armed guys sip coffee in the freezing cold, guarding her street like an absolute fortress. Feels. The killers outside don't say a word. 32 miles away, Adrian is standing in his penthouse, staring down at a city he completely controls. He's holding a glass of amber liquor. His mind is just playing Laia's crying face on this endless, obsessive loop. He knows the Mafia war with his uncle is coming. Blood is definitely going to spill. But beneath all that cold sociopathy, a very real, messed up attachment is growing fast. He's watering a seed of vulnerability he simply cannot crush anymore. Feels. He's obsessing over one crazy fact. She asked him for absolutely nothing. In a mafia world built on bloody favors, that is incredibly rare. He finishes his drink, slamming the glass down on the cold marble. Down below, police sirens cut through the silence. It's the quiet dawn of a gang war. Fast forward, the knock finally comes at 9:04 a.m. Leia gave up on sleep hours ago, her mind totally swallowed up by his heavy psychological conditioning. Feels. You and I can see this mental decay happening fast. Leia takes a shower, desperately trying to scrub the panic off her skin. Wrapped in her mom's sweater, she nervously twists her hair around, completely stripped of her own power. Look in the mirror, she's searching for the beauty her captor supposedly sees, but only finds dark circles and broken eyes. In the kitchen, Catalina makes coffee. Totally to the mafia trap. Her mom is just doing a crossword puzzle, ignoring Leia's frantic pacing. Feels. Sweetheart, Eleanor murmurs, focused on her puzzle. Keep floating around like a ghost, and I'll have the nurse knock you out. Mom, I'm serious. That man saved my life. And I'm not dropping dead right now just to be dramatic. A week heals. Tired laugh escapes Leia as she sinks onto the couch. Her mom grabs her shaking hand in total silence, knowing exactly when to offer comfort and when to shut up. Then the knock hits. 9:04. Leia glides across the floor, heals, frantically smoothing her old sweater to calm her racing heart. She opens the door. Adrian stands there, totally unguarded. No armor. His dark coat hangs open, no muscle backing him up. He's just holding a little pastry box. Feels, rain dripping from his dark hair. Feels. Look at how seamlessly this predator changes his skin. The ruthless mafia boss is totally gone. Now he's playing the role of a tired, harmless guy bringing breakfast. Good morning, his deep voice rumbles. Can I come in? Yes. Come in, Feels. He brushes past her, smelling like winter rain and cedar wood. In the kitchen, Catalina just stands there. She gives a tight nod. It's the stare of someone who knows exactly how many bodies he's buried, but feels zero fear. Adrian nods back, Feels, sliding the pastry box across the counter. For your mother, he murmurs. The almond ones. Feels. Tell her I remembered, Adrian says. Catalina gives a faint smile, calling him a thoughtful boy. I try, he replies. You do not try enough, she shoots right back. Also true, he admits. From the couch, Eleanor is watching, Feels, dissecting this whole interaction with terrifying sharpness. As the real matriarch here, she wears this armor of hyper-vigilant distrust. Basically, no man has successfully played her in 30 years. Knowing this, Adrian treads super lightly, Feels. He drops the cheap charisma, keeps a respectful distance, and stops a few feet away just to bow. Mrs. Hart, I am Adrian Moretti. I am relieved to see you recovering. Mr. Moretti, Eleanor responds. Her voice might be physically broken, Feels, but her mind is an absolute fortress, Feels. She's running a fast, clinical calculation, weighing the apex predator standing in her living room against the genuine empathy he clearly has for her daughter. I understand I have you to thank for the private doctor, the nurse house, Feels, and apparently half the armed guards in Washington. Mom, please, he is right there. He knows exactly what he did. Adrian actually gives a real smile. It's only the second time Leia has seen this crack in his armor, Feels, melting his brutal vibe into something terrifyingly magnetic. Mrs. Hart, he says softly, everything I arranged last night was tragically overdue. Your daughter is remarkable, Feels. She's been carrying a massive weight that was never meant for her shoulders, Feels. Let's pause and unpack this together, because this right here is an absolute masterclass in tension. Eleanor measures him from her pillows, her mind razor sharp in the shadows. I'm glad I could help, Adrian says. You talk well, she observes. Practice, Feels, he admits. Her eyes narrow as she orders them to the kitchen for coffee, promising to pretend she can't hear them. Understood, he replies. Good boy. She goes right back to her mental chessboard. Standing in the doorway, it hits Laia like a freight train. Feels. Her mom just x-rayed Adrian Moretti's entire soul and decided to hold her for now. Feels. Now we shift to the kitchen. Leia pours coffee, desperately trying to hide her shaking hands, setting the mugs on the heavy table. Adrian takes off his coat and sits down, his sheer presence anchoring the room. Feels. A harsh slice of morning sunlight cuts across the table, drawing a literal boundary between their two worlds. For a painful misapp, the silence is suffocating. He studies her physical panic, watching her fingers tremble. She refuses to look up. Feels. Last night, I promised to show you exactly who I am, Adrian whispers. I'm doing it right now, stripped of every charming mask. Feels. I want you to hear the ugly truth directly from me, he says. He grabs his mug. Look closely at his massive, steady hands, marked by a jagged white scar on his thumb. It's a permanent stamp of past violence she totally missed before. Feels. My bloodline started in Calabria in 1922, he begins. 4 brothers built an empire over 40 years. Society gave it a frightening name, but names mean nothing to the facts. By the time I was born, the mob machine was massive. Feels. Locked down by strict tribal law, construction waste routes, transit lines, a chunk of Baltimore Harbor, and a bleaker southern port. Feels. For decades, running those docks meant spilling blood and spinning lies. Less so lately, but still enough to ruin lives. Leia squeezes her stress, turning her knuckles ghost white. And you run this machine, she asks. A massive piece of it, yes, Feels, he admits. My father died when I was 26. My uncle wanted the throne. After a specific negotiation, I took the crown, pushing him to the edges. We keep a shaky peace. Mostly. Mostly? She pushes. It means he calls me at midnight. Feels. Hinting that me standing on your porch turns you into a target. Feels. The tension finally just boils over. Have you hurt people? She asks, her voice super tight. Now watch his body language here. He doesn't flinch or even blink. He holds her gaze, completely refusing to sugarcoat his monstrous past. Yes, I have killed. Feels. I've ordered men to die. Twice in my younger years, I pulled the trigger myself. It's been 14 years since I got my own hands dirty, but that comes from having power, not some sudden morality. The king outsources the killing. Hear me clearly. Feels. I'm not pretending my soul is clean. It's rotten to the core. Feels. Leia zones out. Just yesterday, this mob boss was some faraway rumor now. The absolute monster is casually chilling at her kitchen table, shattering her safe little bubble. Full-blown panic hits her, so he will not see her hands trembling. Then why are you even here? She whispers. Because I gave you my word, he says. Because I owe you the cold, ugly truth about who I am. And honestly, if you draw a line and kick me out right now, I will walk right out that door. Feels. I will keep my crazy uncle away. You can go right back to your quiet life before I wrecked it. But guys, Leia snaps right back. Old life was literally watching my mom die because we were broke, she fires back, letting all that heavy trauma spill. The boss takes the hit like an absolute champ. I know, he says. Did you pay for her hospital bills yesterday? I will, he drops the mic. I will cover her forever, even if you ghost me. This is not some mob deal, Leia. You kick me out, the doctors stay. Feels. Stick with me, guys, because we have to look at this insane plot twist. Watch his hands. He spins his mug, staring at it like it is a death sentence. I am 41, he whispers. Raised since I was 9 to wear this cursed mafia crown. I am a machine at my job, but honestly, I am tired. For years, I have been playing my own mob family for absolute fools, quietly washing our dirty cash. Get this. I am tearing down our bloody criminal empire to build legit businesses that will actually survive in the real world. Feels. He wants to build a totally clean legacy for future kids so they do not have to live paranoid. He hid this massive vendetta from his uncle, his hitmen, literally everybody. Why drop this massive truth bomb on me? Leia asks. Because yesterday, Feels. You broke my brain, he tells her. You were not some terrified victim waiting to get crushed. You did not have that toxic greed my crew has. You were just a heartbroken kid, sobbing, treating me like a normal dude instead of a lethal Don. Feels. It completely shattered a wall I built up 15 years ago. Feels. Here is where Leia completely breaks down. The shock value of his confession just crushes her. Adrian, I dropped out and pour coffee, she cries. I have $900. I am broke. I do not belong anywhere near your rich. I have no idea how to survive your crazy world. I do not care about society, the boss snaps back. But the wolves in your crew will care, she yells, furiously wiping her tears. That is the brutal reality. Do not even try to play games with me right now. Feels. He just watches her sob, hands glued to the table. His actually drops her defenses way faster than a hug would. Last night, your uncle called me a weak spot, she whispers. A target for what? Do not lie to me, feels. Adrian lets out this heavy breath, wiping his face like he has not slept in a decade. Listen to this crazy lore. There are 3 rival mafia families gunning for his throne, barely holding on to a fake peace treaty. Right now, feels. One of them is desperately begging for any excuse to start an all-out turf war. Feels. Any slip-up, any sign he actually has a heart. The exact second they realize he cares about some unprotected girl attack, they will not just end you, he says. They will stalk you. They will hold your mom's treatment hostage so you double-cross me. And if you refuse, they will literally break your legs. Do you get how insane this underworld hell is? Yes, she whispers. Even worse, the betrayal inside his own mafia family will spread. He says he can totally handle his uncle. Feels. But his cousin? A total toxic narcissist. This guy seriously thinks the mob crown is his birthright. If he senses Laya makes the boss weak, he will not even target Laya. He will use hers as the ultimate excuse to put a bullet straight through Adrian's head. I know I sound crazy paranoid, he admits. Do you? She asks. He finally looks away. In the daylight, you can see this guy is carrying 20 years of pure isolation. He has been in the mafia shadows. So long it is toxic. Yes, he whispers. Feels. So what do you and I make of this crazy final move? The boss disguises his trap as total vulnerability. He brings pastries to soften the blow of being a literal monster, low-key begging her to stay. She asks if it is an order from the Dawn. Feels. He instantly backpedals, hiding his power level. He swears he just wants her to see the real dude under the mob boss suit. Just one date. Guys, this is God-tier manipulation. He gives her fake freedom, join his lethal underworld. Feels, or deal with the absolute horror of him vanishing forever. Feels. Adrian literally warns her that obeying him will wreck her mentally. Leia just stares at her trembling hands, totally glitching out from the insane stress. Right behind her, Eleanor is creeping behind a newspaper. You can feel the tragic backstory here. Her mom passed out on the floor with smashed plates everywhere. Contrast that mess with Adrian back at his mafia mansion, locking down his soldiers' loyalty with the ice-cold swagger of an absolute apex predator. Feels. Staring at his battle scars, Laya walks straight into a massive trauma bond. She lets out a breath. Adrian totally freezes with his coffee midair. Get this, she actually wants him to stay. She is terrified of being ditched and left with regrets. The boss just drops a slow, heavy nod. Thursday, he declares. He is dispatching a blacked-out car to take her off the grid. With 0 real options left, Laya basically whispers her total surrender. Feels. Now he drops the rules of her new mafia cage. Goons will watch her house, phones tapped. He spins this absolute stalking as elite protection, completely warping reality like a pro manipulator. Laya just goes along with it. He hands her a fake escape hatch, promising she is not a prisoner. He stands up, grabs his boss coat, and with completely chilling charm, just politely thanks her for the coffee. Feels. Thanks for saving my mom, she shoots back, completely locking herself in his trap. He stares at her like she is some wild experiment. He steps in, stopping right in her personal space, using pure silence to flex his alpha dominance. Feels. Under the cheap lights, you can see his rough stubble, the only crack in his mob boss armor. Lila Hart, he whispers, permanently tying her name to his crazy obsession. He turns his heavy boots, stomping off to bid Eleanor goodbye. The lock clicks. Feels. Leia's alone, heart completely exploding. Feels. Eleanor keeps hiding behind her newspaper and orders Laya to sit down. Laya basically face plants onto the couch. Her mom grabs her freezing hand, bringing her back to earth after that insane mafia on the whole thing. Then she drops a massive truth bomb. Then she drops a massive death bomb. A walking death sentence. But ironically, he is her only lifeline. Now, it perfectly highlights how crazy it is dealing with these underworld kings. Feels. Laya is desperately begging for advice. Her mom just rubs her hand, while mob cars are literally parking outside to stake out their house. Eleanor sets a hard boundary. She will be a shoulder to cry on, but will not fix Laya's terrible life choices. Feels. She guesses Adrian's dark obsession comes from absolute isolation. He sees pure light in Laya. The guy is insanely paranoid, completely terrified of catching actual feelings. Eleanor figures Laya accidentally broke through his mafia defenses. Feels, showing the world how broken he is. Feels. Let's pause right here, guys. Do you see the real danger? Eleanor asks if Leia is just totally drained. Obviously, Eleanor points out the most toxic part. They are two completely shattered people using each other for survival. Feels. She spells out the brutal endgame. They either save each other's souls or they nuke everything in a mutual vendetta. Zero middle ground. Laya admits she is absolutely terrified. Eleanor gets it. Laya just hides her face in her mom's shoulder. Feels, crying like a terrified kid stuck in a bad dream. Feels. They hug it out while Catalina is creeping in the shadows. Morning rolls around, looking super normal, but outside, the mob trap is officially active. The hitman inside faking it with newspapers. Thursday just clings at her job, acting like her life is not totally hijacked. The illusions snaps. Through the greasy window, she sees that exact same blue truck from her block. The mob stalkers are literally everywhere. Feels. This is where the psychological conditioning goes hardcore. Monday on the bus, some lady is staring way too intensely at a dead phone screen. Tuesday night, two mob enforcers Mr. Busted Street gives Laya a creepy little nod. But get this, Laya does not freak out. Instead, her brain does something insanely twisted. That normal, everyday anxiety of walking home alone in the dark, totally gone. Her basic human survival instinct to sprint away has been completely wiped out. Feels. She is literally never unsupervised now.
The wildest plot twist? She actually starts liking her invisible prison.
Wednesday hits, and she finally calls the boss.
Knowing something is up.
She asks about his ghost agents tailing her.
The smoking dudes, the weird bus lady. She asks if this surveillance is permanent. He drops a freezing cold yes.
His goons are staying put until his rival gangs realize she is not some easy target they can leverage for a vendetta. Feels. He swears his hitmen will blend into the shadows, but they are never clocking out. She accepts it, but her trembling voice totally exposes her.
We see her staring out the window at a street
Cat digging through the trash, completely oblivious to her mafia nightmare. I am terrified of how safe I actually feel, she whispers to the window pane. Total dead silence on the line. Adrian softly demands she repeat that. She flat out admits that not being scared anymore feels completely unhinged. Feels. Guys, she thought she'd be having total panic attacks. Instead, homegirl is sleeping like a baby. She literally has mob hitmen guarding her door, and she loves it. The toxicity is totally rewriting her brain. Feels. She feels crazy for craving the big bad boss, but Adrian is not having it. He tells her straight up, she has been dead broke and burnt out her whole life saving everyone else. Feels. This dude literally spins his massive mafia control obsession into a superhero rescue mission, completely denying how messed up their bond actually is. Feels. He calls it ultimate relief. She hates needing him, absolutely terrified of falling for her captor. Boom. Dead silence on the phone. Just a clock ticking inside his massive corrupt tower. Finally, the boss drops a bombshell. He admits his whole life is completely hollow, totally built on fake loyalty. His crew only bows down because of pure fear and cash. Bro, even his own family is just a tool. Feels. Then his massive boss ego kicks in. He flat out says he will not lose one second if she falls for him. He claims his real demons are out on the streets, demanding she gets that through her head. He locks in a time where whatever is driving. Then he random teaches him to dress warms a crazy flash of genuine care before killing the call. You and I already know where this train wreck is heading, right? She is locked inside his golden cage forever. Feels. Chat, watch this setup.
The stray cat finishes its food and bolts. At exactly 6:57, boom, a quiet knock.
It is the silent enforcer, with a face completely covered in brutal mafia scars.
She hops into the ride,
clutching her beat-up coat, trying not to freak out as the city lights zoom by. Meanwhile, across town, Adrian is chilling in a secret room, literally playing the ultimate spider waiting for his prey. Feels. The spot has zero signs, totally designed to mess with her head. She steps into the dark, and Adrian stands up. Bro is actually wearing normal clothes, desperately trying to look like a regular guy. She barely recognized the ruthless Don. The monster is playing the sweet gentleman. He says, hey. She literally questions her own sanity. A shadow guard drops their food and dips. Adrian pulls out her chair, and bam. The trap is fully closed. Feels. The candle lights up her tiny wrists. Now, pay attention, because they totally ignore reality here. No mob talk, no hitmen, zero mention of the rival Victorio family. Instead, they just sit there trauma bonding for 2 straight hours. Feels. They are spilling all their darkest secrets. Her dad passed from a bad heart at 49. He lost his mom at age 6, just a blur now. They even geeked out over some textbook she always reads. Feels. They are literally trading deep emotional scars instead of underworld mafia secrets. Feels. He talks about selling his horse at 17 just to join his family's brutal mafia war. Compare that to her boring coffee routine. Feels. He brings up his strict espresso limit because a doctor told him at 36 his own heart would flatline him before an enemy ever could. She asks if he changed. He says yeah, dropped the whiskey, started walking, Feels, and secretly bought a massive hidden estate in Virginia. A totally off-the-grid safe house his crew knows nothing about. He tells her this is huge. He is literally testing her loyalty right here. Feels. She asks why. He drops a bomb. He wants to take her there someday. Guys, watch her panic. Leia stares at her plate, literally choking on absolute fear. She forces a stiff nod because she cannot even speak. Adrian spots her freaking out immediately. Feels. He actually plays it cool, raising his glass and changing the subject to a stray cat outside. She lets out this shaky, stressed laugh, saying she named the cat Howard after the Washington Post. Adrian actually laughs back, like a real laugh. Feels. For the rest of the night, they totally drop the mafia boss act. Feels. After the date, Marco drives her back. Adrian actually holds back and does not follow her inside. A sick part of her brain actually wanted him to, bro. Instead, he just opens her door. He stands there on the curb with the engine running, Feels, giving her this dark, respectful mafia salute. He just stands there like a complete shadow until her ride is gone. Later, she is tossing and turning, wide awake from a totally new kind of panic. Staring at her ceiling fan in the orange street glow, Feels, one terrifying thought hits her. Oh no. Feels. Guys, we all know exactly where this is going. Oh no, she realizes, absolutely terrified. I am in deep trouble. Her brain is melting down from 2 until 4 in the morning. She is freaking out because he never even touched her. No hands, no kiss. Feels. Zero contact. He kept his distance all night, but he still completely dominated the entire vibe. She knows she is completely doomed. This is how he totally brainwashes her. Meanwhile, 32 miles away in his massive glass penthouse, Feels. Adrian Moretti stares at the skyline, hardcore plotting his next genius mafia move. Feels. But for the very first time, the boss is actually terrified. He realizes she is going to fall for him. This guy is built for brutal turf wars, backstabbing, prison, and crazy hitman shootouts. He has literally zero clue how to handle a normal relationship. Feels. He just freezes at the window. A door slams far away. Sirens fade out. He smashes his head against the cold glass, taking a massive breath just to stop shaking. Then he walks back to his desk. His uncle is calling. Feels. Adrian Moretti's tiny slice of happiness is about to get completely destroyed. Feels. The call lasts 11 brutal minutes. 11 minutes that totally flip the entire script. Adrian stays standing the whole time, remembering the mafia rule. Sitting down when things go bad means you are weak. His uncle asks if he is alone. Feels. Adrian says yes. The uncle warns him to brace himself, speaking strictly as family because he is about to drop a massive bomb. Adrian tells him to spill it. Boom. A mafia tribunal is called for Sunday at the Chesapeake estate. Feels. The rival boss Victorio forced it, twisting everyone's arm to get the votes. Feels. 5 out of 9 bosses flipped. Benedetto, Carmine, Ricci, Santino, and brace yourselves, his own cousin Renata. Adrian literally flinches at the massive betrayal. His own blood sold him out. The hit was ordered 2 hours ago, Feels, claiming he is mentally unfit to run the family. His uncle's voice goes ice cold, warning him this is life or death. He asks Adrian one simple question. Is this girl really worth a massive mob war? Adrian just freezes. Feels. He stares into the dark Arlington night, the river reflecting light like a deadly knife waiting to strike. Feels. A dark line splitting the city in half. Miles away, Laia is completely zoning out, just staring at her ceiling. Adrian cannot even see her, but his brain is obsessed, desperately craving her vibe. He admits he does not know if she is worth it. Feels. His uncle tells him not to lie. Adrian snaps back, saying, look at the fact, 6 days, 2 chats, 1 dinner. Going to war over her sounds completely insane, right? He admits he does not have all the answers. Feels. But he definitely knows she could change absolutely everything. Feels. He confesses he constantly thinks about quitting the mob. But if Vittorio takes his throne, he loses his shot with her forever, and his massive boss ego absolutely refuses to let that happen. Dead silence hits the call. His uncle finally speaks up. Feels. saying that is the realest thing Adrian has said in 11 years. But honesty will not save him now. Sunday means total bloodbath. A crazy narcissist like Vittorio does not want a fair vote, bro. He wants a massive show. Feels. The rival boss demands Leia to be right there in the room. Feels. Chat, you have to see this absolute power play. Adrian loses it, smashing his fist into the desk. He refuses, screaming Vittorio has zero control over her. His uncle tells him to listen up. If Adrian hides her, Vittorio will totally use that against him, feels, calling her a weak liability who cannot handle mob life. That lie will turn the whole council against him. But if Odges brings her, and she survives just 60 seconds without totally panicking, Vittorio's plot completely crumbles. Suddenly, feels, Adrian looks like a god for bringing a normal girl who stared down apex predators without blinking. Feels. His uncle reminds him Leia works 3 grueling jobs just to keep her mom alive. She barely eats. She is 5'6" and completely unprepared to face pure psychopaths like Vittorio and his crew. He asks Adrian if he truly trusts her nerves. Feels. Adrian just stays dead silent. Outside, a chopper flashes red in the sky. He pictures Leia's hands literally shaking around her coffee cup. But then he remembers the fierce, feels, unbreakable eye contact she gave him when she finally agreed to his crazy deal at her kitchen table. Feels. All right, you and I are jumping right into this mafia drama. The uncle warns Adrian, I really hope this girl is tough, because if she cracks, your mind's going to snap and I cannot protect you. He sighs, sounding totally defeated. He tells him, feels, if she is actually strong, I will back her up on Sunday. You are blood. Whatever wild card you bring in, I will defend. But you need to be 100% sure. Adrian gets it. They hang up. Look at our mob boss now. Feels. He is just sitting there frozen in the dark, gripping his phone like a lifeline, totally losing his grip on reality. Feels. Adrian paces his dark office and pours a massive glass of bourbon his doctor specifically banned. He downs it in one shot, slamming the glass down. Then, totally spiraling, he breaks his own #1 rule. He makes the call at 2:14 in the morning. Feels. Let us check on Leia. Her room is pitch black, but her phone lights up. Wide awake and stressing out, she picks up instantly. Did I wake you? Adrian asks. No. Good. Then just dead silence. She can hear his heater running. Feels. A clock ticking away in the background. The tension is insane. Finally, he softly says, I need you to make a huge sacrifice for me. Feels. He tells her she can absolutely say no, no pressure at all. Then he lays out the facts, totally cold and straight to the point. The Underworld Syndicate meeting, Vittorio. The Chesapeake location, Feels. He breaks down exactly what happens if she shows up versus if she hides. He skips the sugarcoating and gives her the brutal truth. She will be locked in a room with 9 top-tier mob bosses who run the East Coast. Guys who do not flinch at violence. Plus, Feels. Vittorio already used her name as bait to steal the throne his cousin held for 15 years. Look at Leia's face lit by her screen. She just sits there, taking in this massive plot twist in absolute silence. Feels. She is practically frozen. Trapped in her quiet bedroom, she presses the phone against her head so hard it hurts, just letting this massive threat sink in. A heavy, depressing silence hangs between them. Finally, she speaks. Adrian, go ahead. Feels. Can I ask something first? Anything. If I say no, what actually happens to you this Sunday? He takes a deep breath. Vittorio will call him coward who hides his people. He will use that to prove I am mentally unfit to lead. Feels. He does not have enough votes to take me out right now, but he will destroy my reputation so badly that his next move will win him 7, maybe 8 votes. The trap is perfectly set, guys. Feels. This is where you and I really need to look at Adrian's mindset. He treats survival like a math problem. If Vittorio takes over, Adrian loses his entire empire. When Leia asks if he will die, his answer is wild. Sure, Vittorio is a monster, and execution is on the table. But the real nightmare for him? Losing his crown. 8 years of control gone, leaving him totally paranoid for the rest of his life. That is just the brutal reality of mob politics. Feels. The tragedy hitting right now is honestly heartbreaking. When Leia asks why she even needs to be there, Adrian explains that just showing up will completely wreck Vittorio's ego. His plan fails, his allies run, and Adrian stays in power. Then, Adrian dangles the ultimate toxic bait, the dream of a peaceful Sunday morning together at his kitchen table. Just look at Leia crying in the dark without making a sound. It is a pure, raw stress reaction. She gets totally dragged into his dark world. Feels. Leia tries to wrap her head around her own doom. Literally 6 days ago, she was just a normal girl, making coffee, sleeping above a dry cleaner, looking after her sick mom. Feels. Now she realizes that facing a mobster like Vittorio deletes that old life forever. She can never go back to her simple job or scrubs again. The girl she was last Friday is completely gone. Adrian handles her grief perfectly, feels, treating her past self like a casualty. But in a crazy twist of Stockholm Syndrome, Laya interrupts him, flat out refusing to back out of the plan, feels. She is totally torn, desperately holding on to whatever choice she has left. She admits to feeling this terrifying connection to him, basically the start of a trauma bond. Knowing that guilt will not be enough when the Mafia is staring her down, feels, she needs a safety net. If Sunday ends in blood, who takes care of her mom? Adrian pulls off a masterclass in calming her down. He says a massive financial trust goes live Monday morning. His lawyers will protect her mom forever, feels, no matter what happens Sunday. This is not a bargain, just a rock-solid fact, feels. Then he drops the bomb. The trust was set up on Wednesday, way before their first date. Talk about insane foresight. You can hear her shaky breathing as she slowly accepts this new reality. When she asks if Vittorio will leak her name, feels. Adrian confirms the underworld will know exactly who she is. Forever, that is the price he is willing to pay. The silence that follows is agonizing. Just her heavy heartbeat, a cheap fridge buzzing, and some random guy coughing on the street outside, feels. Laya finally gets it. This non-stop terror is her actual life now, no matter how the summit goes, feels. Demanding the brutal truth, she asks if he actually loves her. The silence after that is so thick you could cut it. Finally, he admits he does. Right from the moment she mentioned her cat was named Howard, feels. Even with all the crazy anxiety and violence hanging over them, Laya actually laughs. Just a desperate way to blow off steam. She tells him falling in love in 4 days is literally impossible. Adrian claps back, admitting how lonely he has been, feels, standing in massive rooms full of powerful women but feeling absolutely nothing, feels. Let us really look at this confession together, you and I. He swears no one in 20 years made him smile over something as dumb as a cat, insisting he is not playing games. The real crazy hits when his uncle asks if she is worth starting a mob war, feels. Adrian actually hesitated. For a ruthless boss, not being sure is terrifying. He claims this total loss of control proves his love. Laya goes quiet, choking back a sob as she gets pulled in deeper. Dropping his voice, he says he expects nothing back. Feels he just refuses to die Sunday with a secret. Feels. By laying it all out there, he gives her the fuel she needs for Sunday. Nodding in the dark just to cope, she locks in on the mission. Adrian tries to give her an out, telling her to sleep on it. But she shatters that illusion right there, feels, promising she will walk right into Chesapeake and face those monsters. She cannot promise she will not freak out, but she swears she will not break. Her voice cracks with real fear, but she sets one rule. If she survives this madness, feels, they talk about her ruined life on Monday. Feels. She demands nothing but the truth if she is going to survive. He agrees. When he tries to thank her, she shuts him down fast, refusing any praise for walking into a literal death trap. She can hear how wrecked he is, feels, and he admits his insomnia is out of control. She hangs up, leaving the phone face down. She just stares at her ceiling fan to calm her nerves until pure exhaustion finally knocks her out. By Friday morning, feels, she wakes up completely numb, a total defense mechanism. The choice is made, no regrets. The next 48 hours are just a blur, feels. Let us check out the family side of things. In a cold hospital room, her mom holds Laya's hand, not asking questions. Laya just said she had to take a sketchy trip with Adrian, but promised she would be back by nightfall. Hooked to an IV, feels, her mom squeezes her shaking hand, ordering her to come home alive. Fast forward to Saturday. Isabella, an intense moth tailor who has been with the syndicate for 30 years, shows up with garment bags. Totally cold and professional, feels. She asks 0 questions, just taking exact measurements to prep our girl for Sunday's massive showdown, feels. You and I are jumping right into pure Mafia madness today. Isabella tosses Laya this pale, high-collared dress. No black, no red. Those colors just trigger the mob bosses. Isabella is literally playing dress-up, making Laya look like untouchable royalty, feels. Laya is totally lost, but Isabella just smirks, saying the arrogant ones always bleed first. After 2 hours of tailoring, Laya is strapped with low heels and her grandma's gold chain. Boom, feels. She is armored up for an absolute bloodbath of a family meeting. Feels. Isabella goes full drill sergeant, fixing Laya's posture and teaching her how to stare down cold-blooded killers. Keep your mouth shut. The Mafia dogs will try to force her to talk, but the first one to speak loses all their power. That leaves Vittorio and Adrian fighting for the alpha spot. Isabella grabs Laya's chin and drops the hardest truth. These sociopaths will try to break her mind and make her cry. But shedding even one tear? Not happening. Feels. The prep gets intense. Never apologize. Definitely don't beg Adrian for backup. Stare the enemy dead in the eyes. Isabella reminds Laya she survived working 3 jobs for her sick mom. These mobsters don't know real pain. They jump at shadows. Laya's rough life is her best shield now. At sundown, Isabella leaves. That dress hangs there like a massive warning sign. Laya crashes on the mattress, processes the crazy reality, and finally stands up. Feels. Laya is stressing hard, eating like a robot just to stay grounded. She calls her mom to hide her panic before passing out from pure exhaustion. The next morning, the vibe is totally bleak. Marco drives her to an underground garage in Alexandria. Adrian is waiting by an armored Mercedes, flanked by faceless goons. He is rocking a slick charcoal suit, but you can tell the guy hasn't slept a wink. He looks absolutely stressed out of his mind. Feels. Adrian's jaw twitches before he locks his icy Mafia face into place. "You look beautiful," he says. "Isabella chose it," Laya replies. He nods. "I know, she said I didn't deserve you." I agreed. Boom! He slams the heavy door, Feels, trapping them inside. They drive east toward a creepy Chesapeake estate built on 90 years of pure mob violence, dead silence. Adrian holds her hand, unnervingly still. Feels. Leia's heart is beating out of her chest as she stares at his scarred face and clenched jaw. Feels. "Guys, you and I are watching the craziest Stockholm Syndrome vibe ever. She is walking straight into the lion's den just to back up her own kidnapper. Zero survival instincts left. This massive Chesapeake estate isn't some fancy palace." Feels. It's a creepy stone fortress next to the water with dead trees everywhere. Planted in 1937, Adrian mutters, sounding terrified. Armored trucks are parked everywhere like tanks. Feels. Heavily armed guards nod at Adrian but completely ignore Laya. And waiting up on the dark porch, the big boss himself, Adrian's uncle. Feels. The Don looks old, but his aura is absolutely terrifying. This 70-year-old boss has the dead eyes who orders Salvatore Moretti. Di grabs her hand, smelling her fear instantly. "Miss Hart," he growls, "I have heard much about you." He leans. "You understand the danger inside?" "Yes, sir." He lays down the law. Adrian and Vittorio do the talking. She stays totally mute, no exceptions. Leia gasps out a quick "yes, sir." The boss just nods. "Good," Feels. Salvatore stares, leading her. Inside, they step into a massive hall with a roaring fire. 8 hardcore hitmen and 1 woman sit around a giant table. It's Renata the Forger, who looks away, radiating guilt. Sitting at the head is Vittorio. The guy is huge, and a lifetime of pure evil has turned his face into a mask of brutal pride. Feels. Vittorio plays the ultimate mob boss perfectly. He refuses to stand, treating the red predator, mocking its prey. Adrian walks Laya to the far end, literally using his body to shield her left, while Salvatore guards her right. The chair next to Vittorio holds nothing but shady legal papers. "We will begin," Salvatore barks. Vittorio flashes a super sinister smile. "Cousin," he purrs, using a fake friendly tone that just screams danger. Laya is completely panicking. Feels. "Thanks for coming, and thank you, miss. Sorry I missed your last name." Hart, Adrian snaps defensively. "Ah, Miss Hart, welcome." Adrian instantly sets boundaries. "She is my guest. Do not address her directly." Vittorio brushes him off. Feels. "I am just curious. What does she do for a living?" Tension skyrockets. "She is my guest," Adrian repeats. But then, breaking literally every rule she learned, Laya speaks up. "I am a waitress." The whole room freezes. Silence was her only weapon. Feels. Did she just ruin the entire master plan? Feels. She tossed her only shield out the window. In front of Vittorio's eyes, Laya suddenly wants to protect her kidnapper. "A waitress." Vittorio sneers, like it's pure trash. "Yes," she fires back. "Where?" "Between jobs. Last week, a Washington gala. Before that, a filthy diner, a coffee shop, and scrubbing a clinic floor every night." Boom! She drops her working-class struggle like absolute armor. Feels. Check out this ultimate boss move. "I have done telemarketing, hostessing, answered phones." Laya pushes on, not backing down an inch. "I am 26. I dropped out of college when my mom got stage 3 cancer." Feels. "You guys want to pick apart any other tragedies today?" The whole Mafia table is totally shook. Salvatore actually lets out this gritty chuckle. Vittorio is still smiling, but his smug Mafia mask is totally cracking. "And how did you trap our Adrian?" Feels, he asks. "I was carrying champagne," she shoots back, completely fearless. My mom collapsed and he saved us. Feels. Look how she flips the power dynamic. That is how we met, Leela states. Vittorio pushes her. You really didn't know who he was? Never heard the Moretti name before Friday, she claps back. I grew up normal. Dad was a teacher, mom a librarian. I am not in your crime syndicate. I didn't know Adrian. She stares straight into this absolute monster's eyes, and I don't know you either. Sorry. A hardened guard down the table literally has to choke back a laugh. Feels. Vittorio grinds his teeth hard enough to snap bone. I see, he grits out. Sorry if I was rude, Lila counters smoothly. Not at all. But if you are just a normal waitress, why are you here today? Boom. The tipping point. The tension is literally suffocating. Nobody breathes. Sticking to her training, Lila ignores Adrian and the Dawn entirely. She locks eyes solely with Vittorio, her voice devastatingly quiet but totally unshaken. Feels. I am here because Adrian asked me to be. Vittorio scoffs, calling that a garbage answer. It is the only one I have, she shoots back. I don't know your mob rules. We all know I am just a waitress. But 6 days ago, I met a man who showed me his violent, feels, bloody reality without a single lie. He called at 2 in the morning and explained exactly how deadly today would be and asked me to stand by him. So here I am. I am not here because I am worthy of this mafia table, feels. I am here because a man drowning in a world of lies asked me a real question and respected my honest answer. I am simply returning that insane loyalty, feels. You and I have to pause here. This is peak drama. I will not, she says, swallowing her fear. I won't make him regret asking. A brutal silence drops over the mob table. Vittorio checks the legal papers, looks at Adrian, and finally locks on to Lila. Feels. Miss Hart, he whispers. Yes? Do you love him? Boom. She doesn't even hesitate. Her wounded heart just answers on pure reflex. She had never even told Adrian how she felt. Feels. She is literally confessing her love for the first time to a jury of 9 cold-blooded killers. Feels. It was pure instinct. Adrian stayed completely frozen, eyes locked forward, but under the table, his hand crushed hers like a vice. Vittorio stalked her with his slow, absolute villain smile. Well, cousin, he smirked. Congrats, Feels. You found a very interesting girl. I have... Adrian shot back, deadpan. We still have mob business to handle, Vittorio pushed. The paperwork. Who runs this syndicate? Then make your play, Vittorio. Adrian fired back, standing his ground. Feels. The floor is yours. You really want to crush him with her watching? Feels. You set this ambush with her sitting right here, the second you dragged her into mafia drama, Adrian snapped. Don't cry about the rules now. Vittorio's face totally dropped. Bro realized his prey had fangs. Then he pivoted, Feels, trying to manipulate everyone. He started yapping about a century of mafia bloodlines, warning the syndicate about bringing civilian weakness into the mob. He stared Lila down, trying to mentally break her by condemning a boss ruined by soft emotions. Feels. But Leela? She didn't care at all. She just sat there, staring right through this guy like he was nothing. Feels. She literally just sat there, making unbroken eye contact. When Vittorio aimed his massive ego her way, she didn't even blink. Total radio silent. Adrian gave no signal, and Isabella trained her perfectly. In this mafia webtoon, Feels, silence is basically a loaded weapon. Her one previous comment already shook their entire organization. Across the massive table, Renata was watching her like a hawk. Right in the middle of Vittorio's unhinged rant, Renata snapped. Slowly, Feels, battling her own demons, she reached out. With just 2 fingers, she slid her signed contract away, totally severing her alliance with Vittorio. Plot twist. Salvatore noticed the micro-movement. His eyes dipped exactly once. Feels. Let's break down this massive plot twist together, guys. When Vittorio finally stopped yapping, the silence was crazy. Salvatore cleared his throat. Vittorio, he murmured, sounding absolutely toxic. You brought 5 signatures to this ambush, Feels. But one ally just jumped ship. Renata? Vittorio snapped, his ego totally crushed. Uncle, Renata answered, cold as ice. I am withdrawing my name. Vittorio actually flinched. Renata, I am withdrawing my name, Vittorio. Why? Feels. Because my judgment was trash. The whole mob gasped. Well, Salvatore purred like a total boss. 4 signatures against 5. By our syndicate rules, this meeting is done, adjourned. Vittorio froze, totally cooked by this absolute checkmate. Feels. A jaw twitch exposed Vittorio's absolute fury. He glared at Adrian, then Lila, before locking a massive death stare onto Renata, major vendetta vibes. He was burning her face into his brain for future revenge. Standing up silently, Feels, he grabbed his gear and stormed toward the exit. Pausing, he tried one last flex. Cousin, he muttered. Congrats, Vittorio. We will cross paths soon. No doubt, Adrian fired back. Vittorio dipped, The heavy door locked shut. Feels. The crew left behind exhaled so hard, like they just dodged a literal bullet. Out of nowhere, Adrian crushed Leela's hand, basically anchoring himself to the absolute queen who just saved his entire life. Feels. For one brutal minute after he vanished, the room was terrifyingly quiet. That ticking clock felt like a literal bomb about to drop. A bird shrieked outside. Lila felt Adrian rubbing her hand, but she was freezing cold. Feels. It is that classic trauma drop. Once the survival mode shuts off, all that suppressed terror hits you like a truck. Salvatore stood up, his old bones groaning under the pressure. He leaned heavy hands on the desk, Feels, scanning the 8 survivors still breathing at his mob table. Our syndicate business is done, the Dawn announced, radiating absolute boss energy. Feels. Go back to your lives, see your families, erase today, and pray Vittorio gets a grip before Adrian is forced to bury him. We are done. Like clockwork, the mobsters stood up. But they didn't just walk out. They did the whole Mafia respect ritual. Feels. 2 high-ranking enforcers stepped to Adrian. They hugged him, gave Lila a massive nod of respect, and muttered some underworld slang she didn't get. Then this rookie, who was totally quiet all day, walked straight up to her. Feels. He bowed his head in absolute submission. Miss Hart, he whispered before ghosting out the door. Only Renata was left standing. Feels. Renata stayed glued right next to Lila. Her eyes watered, but she refused to cry. Reaching out, she grabbed Lila's free hand, trying to stop her own fingers from shaking as she took 3 deep breaths. Feels. She gave one single nod, that total surrender of a woman who knows she just triggered her own death flag, and walked off. Salvatore waited until the room was completely clear. He chugged his water, looking absolutely cooked. Dropping the glass, Feels, he stared straight at our girl. For the first time in decades, the legendary Dawn dropped the tough act, looking like one seriously exhausted old man. Feels. Miss Hart, Salvatore sighed, dropping all the tension. Can I call you La? She gave a tiny nod. Leela, you need to realize what you just shattered today. Stick with me here, guys, because this plot twist is absolute cinema. Feels. Vittorio set this trap up for 4 years, Salvatore explained. Every bribe, every favor, every mobster at this table. He groomed them for this exact second. He walked in holding 5 guarantees and a flawless script. But in all his crazy scheming, Feels, he figured the girl in your seat would break. He fully expected you to cry out for Adrian to help. Feels. Think about this Mafia lore. No girl had ever stared down this apex predator, and literally said she had no clue who he was. The old boss looked at her with this wild mix of sadness and total pride. You destroyed his entire ego with a few words, he murmured. Feels. I don't know you either. I'm sorry. The vibe got crazy heavy. That burn is locked in my brain forever, Leia. I didn't plan it, she replied. That's exactly why it worked. If she faked the hardcore mob wife routine, Vittorio would have crushed her. Feels. Bro choked because he hit something genuine. Real innocence is alien to our syndicate. We can't fight it. Notice his eyes locking onto Adrian. Napot. A word. Total alpha command. Adrian got up. Giving Laya's shoulder a quick, tight squeeze. Feels. He followed the Dawn to the fireplace. The aesthetic here is insane. 2 absolute killers, whispering about a massive blood feud in mob slang for 3 whole minutes. Feels. Let's look at what Laya picks up on here. Even ignoring the mob slang, she reads the room perfectly. She spots the aggressive grab on Adrian's arm. She sees Adrian literally bow his head in total submission. Feels. She catches Salvatore's bark that makes our top enforcer flinch. A massive generational mafia war was just finalized in the shadows. Watch Adrian walk back. His eyes are wild now, zero calm left, totally haunted by whatever dark deal he just made. Feels. We are clear, he muttered. Okay. He paused, sweating under some massive hidden weight. Dawn is officially inviting you to Sunday dinner. No pressure right now. Just think about it. But remember, this invite is legendary. Feels. His whole vibe screamed that survival depended on it. Say yes, Laya. Feels. Tell him yes, Adrian. The room went dead quiet. He gave a tense nod, stepping back next to Salvatore. The old Don's face cracked into an actual real smile. Look at this massive display of respect. He kissed Adrian on both cheeks. Feels. Then he grabbed Laya's arms, leaning in to kiss her cheek like absolute mafia royalty. It's totally calculated theater, but it is hype as hell. Sunday, Miss Hart. 6 p.m. We will eat way too much, and my crew will yell at me about the salt. Feels. It's the highest honor I have. It means everything. Her voice stayed ice cold. I'll be there, sir. Good girl. You and I both know this revenge arc is just getting started. Walking down that massive hallway, look at Adrian going full bodyguard. Feels. His hand hovers right behind her. He's guarding his ultimate VIP, not touching her, just staying hyper-aware. Feels. Hitting the lobby now. Isabella was standing guard under those bright lights. We found out she took a separate ride to dodge any crazy ambush risks. But catching that massive exhaustion on Laya's face, Isabella just gave one solid nod. Just a quiet feels. Real recognition of the absolute madness she just survived. The drive back to Washington was insanely quiet. Adrian locked onto Laya's hand, keeping her grounded in this crazy mafia nightmare. Outside, feels the dead November trees blurred past like a movie scene. 30 miles of hardcore silence. Finally, staring at her own reflection, Laya broke the tension. Adrian, yes, feels. Did I say it out loud? Yes, right in front of 9 syndicate bosses before I even told you. Yes, I am so sorry. Stop, stop. Adrian's voice literally cracked. The Maha Forcer was losing his cool, guys. Don't apologize, feels. It is the most real thing anyone has ever given me in this poisoned life. I refuse to feel bad about it, and you need to stop too. Okay. Leia, I fell for you hard on Thursday. It got worse today. By tomorrow, this pull is going to become dangerous. Feels. I needed you to know. Boom. Confession dropped. She just buried her face in his chest, sobbing, totally wrecked from the drama. He locked his arms around her, holding onto this girl like his actual lifeline. Terrified the underworld was about to rip her away. Feels. He just let her cry it out. No fake promises, because in their mafia world, tomorrow is never guaranteed. His instincts? Spot on. Vittorio was a total narcissist, zero chance of a redemption arc. The old boss knew his own game, feels, and Adrian read him like an open book. Laya sensed the red flags after 30 seconds in his presence. Guys like them, Vittorio, don't just grow a conscience overnight. They just hide in the shadows and sharpen their blades. Cue a super fragile, feels. 4-month truce. Winter hits hard. Every single Sunday, Adrian marches Laya right back into the lion's den. Even while terrified, she starts decoding their insane family tree, feels. The old Don just watched her scramble names and totally missed the bloody mafia lore, smiling like a creep and never fixing her innocent mistakes, feels. Let's unpack how this wild dynamic actually played out. We watch Laya stumble through the mob's darkest secrets, who married for love, who married for pure power, and which ancient grudges fueled the gang wars. She was not built for the streets, feels. Just a normal girl from Alexandria, totally out of her depth in their luxury mansions. But get this, the mafia basically adopted her. Salvatore went full bodyguard mode. Renata, who normally launders dirty money for breakfast, feels, became her actual bestie. By February, even the most ruthless elders were melting over her tired but genuine vibe. Laya couldn't manipulate someone if she tried. For a crime syndicate drowning in backstabbing and paranoia, feels, her absolute honesty was the plot twist they never saw coming. Feels. The real test kicked off in December. By mid-January, her mom, Eleanor, was pulling off a miraculous recovery. Fast forward to March. Picture this cinematic shot through the window. Leia frozen, watching her weak mother stroll by the freezing river. Feels. Leaning hard on Adrian. Eleanor was still shaken by trauma, but getting her groove back. Imagine what's going through Laya's head. Her battered mom literally clinging to the same mafia predator who saved her during that brutal November night. Feels. A massive knot tightened in Laya's chest. It wasn't joy. It wasn't sadness either. It was just the crazy, suffocating reality of a bond built 100% on pure survival mode. Feels. We're talking about a messy, brutal kind of gratitude. That crushing burnout that hits the second you stop dodging bullets. The heavy toll of surviving the nightmare without a clue how to actually heal. Then, feels. Boom. The spark that ignited the final gang war. A freezing Tuesday in March, a young dude gets gunned down in Baltimore. Just a low-tier guy in Adrian's crew, his 26-year-old cousin running a totally clean errand. Feels. Adrian had been secretly breaking his back to pull his whole family out of the mob life. And honestly, he was moving way faster than the bosses even knew. Feels. Gunned down at point-blank range. The hitman dipped on a motorcycle. Witnesses, no final words. Dominic left a terrified pregnant wife behind. But look at this insane contrast, guys. Adrian got the text at 11:47 p.m. Feels. He's chilling on Laya's beat-up couch with popcorn, literally just trying to play normal boyfriend. The phone buzzes. You can see the humanity just vanish from his eyes. His face turns into pure ice, a mobster mask Laya had never witnessed. He gets up, feels, hits the kitchen, and whispers on the phone for 2 minutes. He comes back, crashes on the couch, looks straight through her, and drops the bomb. I have to go to Baltimore tonight. Feels. Dominic is dead. Or the next day. Marco. is outside with 2 guards. Lock the doors and stay inside until you hear from me. Adrian, I know. Is this Vittorio? The silence in that room was suddenly terrifying. Yes, feels, he finally admitted. Are you sure? I am sure. What are you going to do? Notice how he grounds himself here. He looks at Laia. He looks at Eleanor, whose eyes are already panicking. He just stares at the popcorn bowl. Feels. I am going to do the last thing I ever wanted. The guy literally looked sick to his stomach. I will sit down with Vittorio and my uncle. I am giving him one last chance to walk away from this murder. Feels. To walk away from whatever slaughter he is currently planning. To surrender his grip on this crime family. I only offer this peace because Salvatore begged. Because Dominic's mother is drowning in grief, Feels. And she doesn't need a mafia bloodbath shadowing the funeral. You guys have to feel the crazy stakes here. His jaw was locked tight under all that pressure. Whether he takes the exit is his choice. Adrian. Laia, I won't lie to you. Feels. We made a promise in November, and I am keeping it. If Vittorio chooses war, I must unleash the very violence I've kept chained since I was 26. I will end it. Coldly. You will stay far away from that poison. And once the threat is buried, Feels, I will come back to you. Feels. I'll tell you every dark detail. No secrets, that's a promise. Leia just watched him. Loving a mobster came with a massive price tag, a toxic trap she quietly accepted back in November. Okay, she whispered, her voice completely shaking. Okay, Feels. Come back to me. I will. He leaned in, super vulnerable, and kissed her forehead. It was a soft moment that totally didn't match his brutal lifestyle, shattering her defenses. Then he ghosted into the dark. The deadbolts clicked. Feels. Catalina showed up soon after, looking absolutely exhausted. While the creeping silence filled the room, Eleanor grabbed her daughter's shaking hand. One firm squeeze. She never let go. Feels. Let's break down this timeline. He went off the grid for 34 hours. When he finally showed up, he looked like a walking corpse, totally wiped, rocking a fresh cut on his cheek. But plot twist, he didn't pull the trigger. Feels. Vittorio actually took the out. Salvatore later broke down exactly what happened. Picture a shady backroom in Little Italy, tension through the roof. At the last second, the old boss reaches across the table, hands shaking, Feels. He grabs his nephew's face and begs in Italian, "My son, please, I already lost your father. Don't make me bury you too." Vittorio was an absolute savage, but he had deep abandonment issues. Craving that fatherly approval, the mob boss finally cracked. Feels. Well, mostly. Feels. Mobsters deep in the game almost never get a redemption arc, but something in him actually snapped. Just enough to quit the syndicate, enough to flee to Florida in under a month, ditching his whole toxic empire. Feels. He packed up his personal cash and swore he'd never cross a Moretti again. Wildly enough, he kept that promise until he flatlined. Everyone debated what actually broke him. Some said paranoia, others guessed pure burnout. But 11 years later, Feels. Literally dying at 91, Salvatore grabbed Laia's hand. Gasping for air, the old Don dropped the final lore. He revealed that inside that shady restaurant, the untouchable mob boss felt an emotion criminals basically never experience. Pure, Feels, devastating shame. Feels. That was all the closure they were getting. Time skipped to a crisp October Saturday the next year, when Adrian and Laia finally got hitched. Not your typical fairy tale wedding, though. Zero fancy waterfront views. Feels. Adrian was totally done with water. It just reminded him of mob hits. They also dodged the massive cathedral. Laia was a low-key librarian. She didn't want the spotlight. Instead, they stood inside this beat-up, Feels. Hidden wooden chapel on land Adrian had secretly hoarded for 10 years. It was the exact Virginia hideout he hyped up the day they met. A legit off-the-grid safe house, miles away from the syndicate. Feels. Where the demons of his past had zero chance of tracking him down. Feels. So what do we make of this final scene? The chapel was from 1872, chilling next to a stream. A forgotten apple orchard out back. In the morning sun, the damp ground looked absolutely unreal, glowing like copper. Feels. Eleanor walked her daughter down that super rustic aisle. She still looked a bit fragile, never completely shaking off the horror of her from last August. But man, she stood tall, her steps locked in. Reaching the altar, Feels, she lifted Laia's veil and held her face. In that light, Eleanor was beaming with pure, unscripted joy. It was the ultimate relief of a mom who had survived absolute hell, witnessing a happy ending she never thought she'd actually live to see. Feels. "I love you, baby," Eleanor whispers. "Go on now, he's waiting." Listen to this, guys. Salvatore steps up to lead the ceremony. The patriarch hasn't had his wife for 22 years. He has zero legal right to officiate, Feels, But Adrian's lawyers pull massive strings. As he reads the vows, the old man's hands visibly shake, stopping twice to breathe. Ratat is maid of honor. Marco, the legendary stone-cold getaway driver, stands by Adrian in a stiff suit. Suddenly, heals. Tears stream down Marco's face. His ultimate tough guy armor completely shatters, stunning everyone, but mostly shocking Marco himself. Heals. Let's look closer at this wild wedding. In the back, Margaret is straight up sobbing, a massive trauma dump after outliving pure Mafia terror. Up at the altar, Adrian's cold-blooded boss persona totally evaporates. Heals. His hands are physically shaking while he speaks. Leia is stunned watching this brutal man become completely vulnerable. Leia Hart, he says, his voice super tight. I met you in a room built entirely on lies. Heals. You were the first real thing I felt in years. I spent 2 decades drowning in this criminal underworld. I totally gave up on a normal life. I walked into that room fully planning to just fade to black. Heals. But I am standing right here today, Adrian continues, locking eyes with her, because you walked past me in pure panic. One tear dropped, and my defenses completely shattered. I still cannot explain it. Heals. But 8 years of building titanium walls broke in 90 seconds flat. I suddenly realized my entire Mafia empire was literally just a waiting room for you. He swallows hard. I am absolutely not a good man. My moral compass is totally wrecked. Heals. I will not stand here and pretend I can erase my violent past, but I promise you this. Starting right now, I will rebuild myself into the man you see, the good guy I thought died ages ago. Heals. I am going to slip up. Adrian drops this heavy reality check on her. I will make dumb mistakes weekly, and probably have a total breakdown. When I do, you have to break the cycle. We hit reset. It is the only way I make it out alive. Heals. Leia's comeback here is legendary, just 11 words. After confessing her own panic, she straight up tells him, I love you, I see you. I know you, I am staying right here. The terrified efficient seals the deal. Adrian pulls her close instantly. Heals. Leia grabs his face. It is this intense grounding habit they started back in November while dodging bullets. She literally has to touch him to know he is real, anchoring them both as the Mafia chaos finally fades. Heals. You and I have to drop that fake Mafia ending Hollywood pushes. Years later, sitting on that exact Virginia porch at 60, Leia is trying to explain their crazy healing arc to her teenager. Eleanor is 17, stressing over college. Heals. Wanting to know how they actually escaped the mob life. Leia just smiles. She explains how pure survival mode eventually fades into a boring, peaceful routine. It meant thousands of mornings just making coffee. Heals. Endless all-nighters while Adrian and his lawyers aggressively scrubbed the blood off his family's money, but they found real peace. Quiet weekends at the farm, a safe zone they snagged after a dying Salvatore handed over the deed. Heals. Their new reality locked in around chill Sunday dinners. That vibe stayed steady until Leia's mom, Eleanor, passed away in her sleep at 74, a super peaceful exit. Before she died, Heals, she called those final years the ultimate pardon from a Mafia death sentence. But here is where the massive redemption arc kicks in during year 2. Leia has been plotting this for months. Picture this insane pivot. Heals. Leia hijacks Adrian's desk and builds a medical rescue fund from scratch. She completely trashes the fake, ego-driven charity model. After watching the corrupt healthcare system abandon her mom, Leia weaponizes her rage. Heals. She drops a direct lifeline for desperate families, flipping her darkest trauma into an absolute shield for others. Heals. She builds this entire safety net for the kid who had to grow up way too fast. The teen who finds their mom passed out, only to get slammed by heartless insurance denials. Leia does not care about flashy billionaire galas or grabbing photo ops. Heals. Her setup is hardcore functional. Just a simple hotline a panicked kid can dial at midnight and reach a real human. Someone to say, breathe, check the meds, grab the address, and make one ironclad promise. We are coming. Heals. Adrian listens to this pitch in dead silence. Look closely at his face, guys. You can literally see the brutal toll of his Mafia guilt. Heavy lines around his eyes that did not exist 2 years ago. Heals. He finally drops the paperwork. What is the price tag? There is no hard number, she admits. Depends on how many lives we save. Give me a worst-case scenario. Say 200 cases. Maybe 15 to 20 million to launch, she fires back. Heals. Adrian does not even flinch at the insane cost. Build it, he orders. She freezes, totally stunned. Do it, he doubles down. This dirty Mafia cash is just rotting. I spent years trying to wash the blood off. Leia, this is how we buy our souls back. Heals. You run the empire. I fund it. You answer to 0 people. He checks her notes again. My only rule is you name it after your mom. Heals. She just stares at him. The Eleanor Hart Foundation. Notice how she does not shed a single tear here. Her ability to cry got completely torched by years of mob paranoia and pure trauma. Sometimes the emotional baggage is just too massive for tears. Feels. Instead, she gives one solid nod, reaches out and grabs his cheek, that exact same anchor move from their wedding. Done, she says. By summer, this epic lifeline goes live, somewhere in Ohio. Feels. A desperate kid totally screwed by the medical system dials that number at 3 in the morning. Feels. The kid calls, expecting some useless robot menu. Plot twist. Leia picks up the phone herself. Running this massive operation right out of her kitchen, she personally tanks every single crisis call early on, absorbing all that raw panic. Feels. This is the Eleanor Hart Foundation, she says, totally calm. I am Leia. Tell me what is going on. Take your time. The caller immediately shatters, dumping their whole nightmare out. Leia tracks it all. By sunrise, a local pharmacy clears the meds. Feels. By noon, a dying mom gets the exact IV drip that was literally impossible 24 hours ago. Absolute legend behavior. Feels. Come Monday, her lawyers go on an absolute rampage. After 7 brutal months, they crush the insurance company and force them to pay out. That was just case 1. Leia hid that first file in her desk for 27 years. By winter, Feels. They saved 41 families. 5 years later, 400. A decade in, they hit 3,000 lives. But this never becomes some greedy corporate beast. You will never see her name on the nightly news. Leia totally rejects the fame. Feels. Dodging every single chance to go viral. She never wanted the clout. Feels. Her only mission was being there when someone's life crashed at 3 a.m. Meanwhile, Adrian is ruthlessly tearing apart his own toxic syndicate. He is ripping down the dark Moretti empire, desperately turning dirty money into something clean. Feels. He dumps the smuggling routes. He slashes the corrupt union ties. He forces the massive construction racket to finally go legit. But listen up, escaping the mob has a savage price tag. His own blood relatives turn on him. Feels. Totally excommunicating the guy for breaking their violent family curse. Feels. Adrian instantly trades away his toxic mafia family just to finally sleep at night. It is a massive sacrifice, but he drops them with zero hesitation. 12 years into this epic healing journey, Feels. He hands the keys of the gutted syndicate to his younger cousin Luca. Sitting there, old boss Salvatore literally breaks down sobbing. A whole lifetime of mob trauma pouring out. Luca spent 6 years quietly training. Feels. But here is the massive plot twist. Luca actually has a soul, real empathy, something those old-school Moretti bosses completely lacked. Feels. Now you and I need to pay attention, because this changes everything. Luca systematically destroys whatever crime is left. By the time Adrian's kid, Eleanor, hits 17, the legendary Moretti Mafia is just a ghost story. Feels. All they have left is a chill farmhouse and zero drama, but outrunning your criminal past always catches up. Flashback 11 years to a massive bombshell. Adrian suffers a brutal heart attack, stuck in a hospital for 18 days. Feels. Hearing those monitors beep, Leia suddenly confronts a terrifying truth about her own hardcore trauma bond. Feels. Guys, she was paralyzed by pure hardcore terror. The absolute nightmare of losing the only guy who completely redefined her safety. We are talking massive Stockholm Syndrome vibes here. But Adrian survives the hit. He comes back, Feels. Totally quits drinking, and gets super serious about his health. He starts marching the property line every single morning like clockwork. And beautifully, tragically, Leia follows him right out into the freezing rain. Bro, Feels. That is not even just love anymore. It is a massive trauma response. She physically needs to see that her mafia king is still alive. Feels. Look at this, guys. They actually get to breathe. They get a dog. Adrian, a literal street enforcer, is out here planting a garden. Then the old Don Salvatore drops dead at 91. But get this plot twist. On his deathbed, Feels. He completely blanks his own sons and hands all his respect to Leia, admitting she brought peace to their mafia chaos. Boom. Next thing, little Eleanor is born. A massive surprise 14 years in. Leia is 42, Adrian is 54. Feels. But that pregnancy messes with Leia's head, triggering some heavy, unspoken survival instincts. Feels. When that baby girl arrives, Adrian absolutely loses it. The ruthless mob muscle who never flinched, he is bawling his eyes out, staring, kept all his tough guy walls just shatter. He whispers he has been waiting for her forever. They name her Eleanor Ruth after his dead mom. Guys, that is heavy. Giving her that name finally lets this hardened former 6-year-old street orphan grieve the mother he lost 50 years ago. Feels. So the kid grows up totally normal, clueless about her family's bloody mafia history. She is smart, and super close with her mom, which gives Laia massive relief. One asking about the crazy year old is chilling on the porch they survived, asking about the crazy dark days to sit. Meanwhile, inside, the former terrifying crime boss, now 69, is just chopping veggies for dinner. All that mafia power, completely gone. Just wild to see. Feels. Leia keeps it brutally real. She tells her kid that winning is not about dodging bullets or beating up bad guys. Nope. The ultimate flex is surviving to see a boring Tuesday. It is getting through petty house arguments and still loving the guy who once held you captive. It is sitting outside, rambling about groceries with zero fear of some hitman showing up. Feels. She drops a truth bomb. The beginning is the easy part. You and I know how that goes, right? The real grind is waking up every single day and choosing each other, long after the hype fades and you get old. She plays down their mafia bloodbath like it is just some campfire ghost story. Eleanor flat out says that is not inspiring at all. Laia just cracks up, that same loud, gorgeous laugh that broke Adrian's cold heart back in the day. Feels. She admits it is no fairy tale, but the kid can finally handle the truth. Suddenly, smash! A huge crash from the kitchen ruins the moment, practically begging for help with a dinner. Leia stands up, her 60-year-old joints aching from a literal lifetime of stress. She walks in, and there is Adrian. At 69, the big bad mobster is frail. He is covered in old scars, staring helplessly at ruined food. Honestly, what do you and I make of this? It is just incredible survival. Feels. Pay attention here because this is the real payoff. Watch his face shift the second she walks up. He drops the scary boss act completely. He admits he ruined the food and she does not even blink. Just rules and order takeout, but she shuts that down quick. Then she just reaches out and touches his cheek, the exact same way she calmed him down during their bloodiest gang wars. And this absolute menace of a man, he actually laughs. Feels. It is a deep, genuine laugh. The kind of joy his old mafia rivals would have seen as a massive weakness. He pulls her in close. Their bond is light years past the survival mode of their youth. They just stand there in the kitchen, feels, totally safe from their crazy past, anchored by normal family life. Outside, the mob world is still out there, full of cold-blooded threats. But inside, Laia rests on his shoulder and finally gets real peace. She built this safe haven from total ashes, feels, night after night for 29 years. Feels. They did not just survive the mob life. They used it to build a completely new reality. Against all odds, they fought to protect their peaceful world every single day. The past violence? It is irrelevant now. All that matters is this quiet, unbreakable life they built with their own two hands, riding it out together until the absolute end.